So let's go. Started a new week. It's Sunday, April 27th. This is my outlook for USD JPY. Whoa. For UJ. We starting off on a weekly time frame. We have a support here. This was a strong support for since January. It tapped into the support in September, and now we're here again in April. All right. So we have a support here. Price is clearly in the uptrend structure. You can see this is clearly an uptrend. Price came down, made a support, made a new high point. Mark this off. Then price came back down to make to tap that same low. It failed to make a higher high, all right? So this could be considered as a lower high. But then it came back down to the support and it made its previously kind of lower, higher than this previous support. So this one touched the floor. This one is a little bit higher. So this can be somewhat of a higher low point, right? This can be somewhat of a higher low point that can now give you the buying pressure to actually push past and break this previous high point on a weekly time frame. All right. So we want to go down to a smaller time frame, such as H4. Such as daily. We can go to daily so far. So on the daily, we have a support here that was previously broken, right? It was broken here. Price came back down, tapped this support, the strong level of support on the weekly time frame, right? So if we was even tracking this downtrend on the daily time frame, we want to pull out our fibs. So since it broke this support level here, you want to pull out your fibs just to track the counter trend, right? So point A to point B. This was a 50% pullback. All right. This was a 50% pullback, lower high point. Right. So now we can actually pull it out to track the new counter trend, right? So it's still point A. This wasn't really, you can say, but this wasn't really broken because it was really tested on the support. Bearish, bullish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish. So now it finally broke, right? So now we could track this counter trend now where price previously just made a support. So point A to point B. And we could track this counter trend on the daily time frame, right? Where we go down to a lower time frame, such as H4. The counter trend is the pullback is just a counter trend on a smaller time frame, right? So right now we're going to be looking for buys this upcoming week, being that price made a support here. Price made a resistance here, then it came back down and make a support, which can also be high low point, right? Because if price wanted to continue bearish, it would have came back up, made a support, made a resistance and pushed lower to make a to aim for that new lower low, being that it did not. So now we can actually start looking for buys because clearly the market wants to buy because a high low point is bullish structure. Lower high point, low low points is bearish structure. But being that it's making a higher low, we want to look for a bullish structure. All right. So being that it price previously just made a support here. Yeah, so on the M30 time frame, you can see a high, high, low, high, all right? This is just noise, all this little consolidation, minor little high, low, highs. Those are really just noise because if you zoom out, you won't really see that. So all you see is excuse me, all you see is a high, right? So now what we can anticipate for prices to continue to push higher, come back, make a little higher low point, and then we could look for buys, right? And we're not gonna fall in love with these buys because um we are on the downtrend, right? We are on the downtrend on the daily time frame, right? So we will look for confluence in this area right here, where this look like a cool little confluence zone where you could say this is a supply zone also because it's consolidation right here. And if you really want to, you can say it's liquidity laying above this high right here, right? So we can be targeting these highs, these high sweep, the market can be targeting these high sweeps. So sweep these highs, come up, sweep these highs, then continue to come bearish, right? But we can also pay attention to this support zone right here that was previously support on the weekly, which tapped a bunch of these zones. I mean, tapped a bunch of times, 2 times in the past. And we want to keep an eye out on that, right? So we don't want to fall in love with the buys for too much because we can still see bearish structure, right? But as far as looking for long-term buys, we will want to see a break, right? So we want to see price actually break this previous low high point right here. It's 100%. Come back, make a higher low point, then continue bearish. I mean bullish, right? But at the moment, we're going to look for sells on the higher time frames. On the lower time frame, we're looking for buys at the moment, right? Which can be a counter trend, but we're just open to both sides of the spectrum at the moment. So that is my outlook right now for UJ. We will move on to gold. So with gold, clearly a super duper strong bullish trend right here going on, right? But we want to pay attention to this, right? Last week, we see a big rejection on the weekly time frame, right? Which resulted in a doji, right? So we want to go down to the daily time frame, not even the daily because it's not enough data. So we have to go down to the 4 hour, right? So all that wick was on the weekly time frame was a pullback, right? So, we had high highs and high lows. So we had high high, one push, high low. This is one push, high high, right? And now we just getting a pullback. So what we want to look for on gold is, mark out some high points. This is a resistance here. This is a support here. Right. And now we have a new high right here. Right. So now what we want to do is pull out fibs so we could track this counter trend. Point A to point B, bullish wick to bullish wick. And right now price is currently sitting at a 38.2, right? So 38.2 is entry base point where it's it's not strong, but it's an entry base point where we want to look for what price would do around this area, right? So 23.6 is usually just a continuation of the trend, but 38.2 really qualifies for a high low point. So H4, it made a support, which can technically be a little double bottom where price came down, made a support, it pushed up, came back and made another support, not breaking this previous low, right? So what we want to do is get down to the M30 time frame to get a little bit more data, right? And we have a high point here, right? So this is a scenario where we can see this break up this high point, come back, make a new high low point, and continue, excuse me, for the buys, right? If not, we just want to see a high low point, break this previous swing high to then come back and make a high low point to continue to to continue to take buys. So we have two scenarios, right? Where uh boom, 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 break and look for buys. So we want to look for buys in these areas right here, right? High low point, entry base point, high low point, entry base point. Or if we wait for the big swing, which will be this one on the H4 time frame, entry base point, and we want to target these highs right here, right? Because price made a high where it might want to come back to this high. So that's the scenario for gold.